So Sonic Frontiers update is around the corner, and we got a lot of new information regarding update 1. There's a lot of cool features like the photo mode that'll be coming. I feel like photo mode should have been there day 1, but hey, better late than never. And then the jukebox mode, which is actually pretty interesting. I didn't expect it to be this in depth. I thought it would just be a jukebox that you just pick from a menu, but no, you actually have to go out in the world and collect songs and you can play them in the game. It seems like there's a lot of good songs chosen, like Live and Learn and Red Mountain from Sonic Adventure 1 and stuff like that. That's pretty exciting to see. I like stuff like this. It is kind of reminding me of Sonic Generations a little bit though, where you can choose the song for the level, but this is really cool because you have to go out and collect it, which is also kind of like Sonic Generations in the overworld where you have to collect the extra music. So maybe that's where they got the idea from, but I'm here for it, so I'm pretty excited for that. I'm gonna go around and collect music and stuff. And then we have our cyberspace challenge mode, which is racing through 7 cyberspace stages back to back in a time attack while competing against the clock. Yeah, that's, you know, cool and all. And then we have the battle rush mode, which is just like basically, I would call it a Bloody Palace from like Devil May Cry maybe, but except it's not as long. It seems like each of them will have about 9 encounters, including Giganto or the other bosses such as Knight and Wyvern. But then there's an all islands button, which will probably combine all of them, which will probably increase the amount of time it takes to beat it. And apparently there's a special reward for beating this. Update 1 seems like a pretty sizable update. It sounds pretty cool having a new challenge mode and all this stuff. And I won't lie, it seems a lot more interesting than Update 2. Because Update 2 is mostly just Sonic's birthday, new Coco, and an open zone challenge. We don't know exactly what that means. But that doesn't really sound as interesting as Update 1, if I'm being honest, with the challenge mode and the jukebox finding. So that's pretty all interesting. But there's actually more stuff being changed about the game. And one of these changes, I think, changes probably quite a lot about the game. But before we get into that, hey, hold up a minute. 75% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, so why don't you consider subscribing if you've been enjoying the content? You may be like, hey, this might be too early in the video. But 43,000 of you guys keep coming back to these videos, so I'm talking to you. Why don't you hit the subscribe button? Thanks, guys. So the additional changes that were listed are also pretty interesting. The power boost animation being toggleable is a new thing. The Starfall slot machine can be toggled, and thank God, I think that thing is terrible. And one thing that doesn't make sense is cyberspace levels can be restarted mid-level. You could always do that, so maybe they mean like a reset button or something like that that isn't in the menu. I have no idea what that means, so we'll have to find out for that one. And then when upgrading Sonic, multiple Coco can now be exchanged at once with the Elder and Hermit Coco. That is a huge W that fixes the problem with this game when it comes to upgrading Sonic. It just doesn't, it kind of kills runs. Like when you want to go and get through the game faster but you want to upgrade your speed, you have to sit there and do that one by one. I promise you not, we've all had an experience sitting there for about 15 minutes upgrading Sonic. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys knew that information already, but that's just my take on it. But there's something that is missing from this. So if you go on Famitsu, their article actually says something a little different. They say jukebox mode, photo mode, cyberspace, battle rush, but then they say difficulty extreme mode. Now, if they're really adding an extreme mode difficulty and they do it the way I hope they do it, this might actually fix a lot of my issues with Sonic Frontiers, and that is mostly difficulty wise. The combat in Sonic Frontiers is really fun and all, but I think Sonic is way too broken. He can do so much stuff. He can basically be in the air infinitely with Sonic Boom as long as he doesn't touch the ground. You can cancel out of things with boost and just do something else. It's basically like a DMC training mode sometimes when it comes to Sonic Frontiers. You're in training mode beating up an enemy that can't really do much back to you once you have them in your grasp. And honestly, the combat would have benefited a lot more from having things such as enemies changing their patterns or breaking out of the combo and having their turn, I guess, and you have to wait your turn. Mostly with bosses, not necessarily normal enemies. Normal enemies can be fodder all they want. But extreme difficulty, again, can probably change how I view this game. It will probably make the game more fun to run through. And I can kind of imagine what extreme difficulty is going to be like. It's probably going to be to the point where you only can have one hit mode. But the inherent problem, in my opinion, with Sonic games is rings are something that don't really mesh well, in my opinion, when it comes to action games. I think Sonic Unleashed does it better with having a health bar because that makes more sense for an action game. As long as you have one ring, Sonic can always live forever in Sonic Frontiers. Only one ring. and you can get it back very easily. So what I'm hoping they do for extreme difficulty is that they limit the side loop ability in order to produce rings in the middle of a fight. I think that would be a very big game changer to me personally if they were able to do that. So that way you have to focus on staying alive in the fight, and instead of actually being able to just infinitely generate rings. And also for extreme difficulty, if they make it to where you can't pick your rings back up after a fight or in the middle of a fight, that would be perfect for me. And I don't think that's something modders are able to do yet. I've only seen mods where you can only just not side loop rings at all or very little, but not really have them change when you enter a fight. But obviously when you run away from the enemy that you're fighting, you can, do your thing again. I think that would just be perfect for me. Also, as much as Biggs fishing is fun and it's funny, I hope that they tone down how much stuff he can give you in extreme difficulty or just overall in the game in general, so that way Biggs fishing can't be abused as much. And it'll give more incentive to fight things again rather than just let me go spam Biggs fishing. And I really hope extreme difficulty isn't just like hard, or where it doesn't really feel that much different from normal, to be honest. Or the wrong way to go about it is just make enemies super duper spongy when it comes to health, but they don't necessarily hit harder or anything. I think that would be extremely lame, and hopefully the feedback that Kishimoto was getting on Twitter is something that they have applied to this update to make it to where it's just not lame, and it's what people are really wanting. But personally, I think if extreme difficulty is done correctly, it might be the biggest issue for me personally that gets fixed about Sonic Frontier, and that will make me extremely happy and probably make me look back on the game more fondly. It's kind of like Kingdom Hearts. A lot of people will play Kingdom Hearts on normal, but it's completely different when you put that game on critical mode. Trust me. But yeah, overall, I expect these updates to not take too long to come out. But for update 2, I'm mostly looking forward to the additional updates and changes that they're going to make, not really the main content, if I'm being honest here. I have no idea what freaking Sonic's birthday means. I don't care about new Coco. And open zone challenge, who knows what that's going to be either. So overall, I'm just interested for the next update for more of those extra changes like we talked about in this later half of this video. I hope we start to see some of that stuff Kishimoto was talking about, such as spin dash, momentum, and whatnot. But we might have to wait till update 3 for all of that. That update might be one of the meatiest updates that we get, and I'm pretty excited if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's what I think is gonna save Frontiers, at least difficulty wise, and why, or at least I hope it saves Frontiers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about these changes. Are you excited? Are you excited for extreme difficulty? And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below, and hit the like button, and I'll see you. And shout out to my channel members, That's Royo, Super Saiyan Sonic, and Blazing Aura. And you can become a channel member for $2.99 if you hit the join button on the channel. It doesn't cost much, but it supports me in the long run. But I'll see you guys in the next one.
Well, whatever happens, happens.